What's up, Men's Club? It's great to talk to you guys again. I'm TJ, and today I'm going to be demoing knots. I've recently got into Knotsmanship, and over the course of several of these videos, I'm going to show you several knots that all men need to know. We're going to do it 3 at a time, so this will be the first 3 knots that every man needs to know. And we're going to start with one of the oldest knots ever created, and a little bit of history behind this knot. It's an interesting story. It was the first knot really devised for ships, and the rumor is that you could actually, capsize a ship with this knot, and the knot would not break. The ship would break long before the knot did. And it was transferred later on into use by everyone. And a lot of you probably know this knot. It's called the bowline, and it's a real simple knot to tie. Nothing too crazy complicated about it. And like you see right there, I just tied it, in seconds. There's actually an interesting little story that goes with this knot to teach you how to tie it, because fathers would teach their sons how to tie this knot by using this little sort of parable. I was fortunate enough that my dad actually taught me, so I'm going to step behind the camera now, and I'm going to show you how to tie this knot. Alright guys, so this is how you tie the bowline. First, you're going to make an overhand loop, and then the story is the story of a bunny or a hare, and so the bunny is going to come out of his hole. He's going to run around the tree, and then he's going to run back into his hole. And you're going to hold here, and just pull it tight. And that's how you tie a bowline. This knot is useful for all kind of things, securing things off. If you have to tow something, pull something down, that knot is very strong and it won't bind up on itself. So that's the bowline. Alright, back again, and our second knot we'll be doing is called the clove hitch knot. This knot is also ancient, and it's also super easy to tie. It's useful when you need a quick hitch that's really sturdy, that's easy to get tied and untied. Cowboys used to use this to hitch their horses to a hitching post. You can use it if you need to tie it around. For instance, I use it a lot. Say you're getting up into a tree stand, and you've got your rifle, and you don't want it slung on your back. You'll take your rifle off your back, tie a clove hitch around the rifle, secure it, climb up the tree stand with the rope, and then pull the rifle up to you, and it slips off. And I'll demo real quick right here how easy it is to do. And I'll demo it for you up close in just a second. Alright guys, so I've got Jordan here helping me out. He's going to hold the object that we'll be actually tying this knot around. And so if you can see here what I'm doing, you're just going to make a loop. You're going to make a second loop like this. You're going to put your second loop behind your first loop. You're going to put it over the object, and you're just going to pull. And it secures itself. And the cool thing about this is now from either end, as long as there is constant pressure, it will hold. But don't get jerky with it, or it will start to slip. And again, its applications are far and beyond your imagination, and that's the clove hitch. Alright guys, back in the seat again, and for our last knot today, we're going to be doing the reef knot. It's also known as a square knot, box knot, lots of names. And like all these knots, it really originates with ships and seamanship, because that's kind of where line handling originated. But it's used all over the world, and so this knot is very useful if you have to secure a line to itself around something. And it's also very useful if you need to secure a pack or something like that. And like all these knots, super easy to tie. And I'll just show you quickly here, and then of course, as always, I will demonstrate behind the camera, just quick like that. And I'll pop behind the camera and I'll show you guys how to do it. Alright, we're back behind the camera again, and so for this knot, you're going to take each end of your line, you're going to go right over left like this, bring it around, and now you're going to go left, because this is now your left, over the right. You're going to hold here and here and down on each end and just pull, and it will hold very secure. And this again is, like I said, used for if you need to wrap this line around something and tie it to itself to tie something off, or if you need to wrap a line around yourself, you can actually double these up to make an impromptu harness, belt, whatever. And then also, if you will put in that middle loop the top end of a burlap sack or a pillowcase or whatever, and you tie it off, it's a very secure knot for an improvised pack. And we're back again in the seat, guys. So like I said, I'm going to be coming out with several of these videos each week throughout the week to kind of help tide you guys over till our podcast. And also just because I really love knotmanship, and I really love just the applications that you get out of knowing how to handle line. It can be anything from, like I said, sailing to working, carpentry. If you're into mountain climbing, rappelling, you definitely need to know how to do that. It can also be good for, life-saving situation. If you're stuck up somewhere really high and you need to knot off some line to get down, or if you just need to know how to manipulate your cordage out in the woods, camping, that kind of thing. And all these knots really that I'll be doing either originate with seamanship and ship work, or with actual climbing, hiking, rappelling. It's really interesting how, even though they're useful in so many applications, those are really kind of the two main avenues where these knots are really created and implemented. And a lot of the knots I show you are going to be ancient. I mean, they date back to when we had ships. And I just think that's really cool, the history behind them. I'll try and get more history on each of these knots. Your bowline, like I said, just to refresh over our knots that we did today, is going to be used for tying things off. If you need to make a bowline in one end, loop it to your hitch, then make a bowline on the other end around your item and tie it off, and you can use that to haul things around. You can use a bowline to actually secure things down. It's a very secure knot, very tight, very unlikely to slip on itself. Your clove hitch, it's a hitch knot. It's used to, it's got so many applications. Anytime you need something quick, easy, fast, it's also easy to release or adjust, clove hitch is going to be your knot. And then, of course, your reef knot is used heavily in knot to item manipulation. So if you have to tie something off, or if you, like I said, want to secure a pack. Sailors actually, in ancient times, would use a reef knot to secure their bags. And there's a variation on the reef knot that I'll show you in a later video called the thief knot. It is not a secure knot. You don't want to use it to hold anything down, but it would secure your bag lid closed. And so what you would do with that is you would tie your thief knot. And so where a reef knot, basically the ends end up facing on the same side, like this, your thief knot ends end up facing on the opposite side, like this. And so what they would do is tie that off as a kind of a primitive ancient security system. And what would happen then is that they would tie it off that way, and then the night, if somebody came in to steal their things, they would untie it, think it was just a reef knot, go to tie it back in a normal reef knot. So when they woke up the next morning and checked, if it was a reef knot instead of a thief knot, they knew someone had gotten into their bag. So it's really useful, sort of primitive security measure that they used. But like I said, it is not a secure knot at all, as you'll see whenever I do it in a later video. It is absolutely only for tying off a bag once you had it stowed. You don't even really want to carry it on your back with a thief knot. You want to tie a reef knot, carry your bag. When you get to your quarters, get to your hammock or wherever you are, you would take your bag off and retie it very deliberately into a thief knot. And it was just sort of a primitive security measure. And so I think that's really cool. And like I said, these knots, man, they have so many applications that are, you're really limited by your imagination on how you're going to actually use these knots. Just for example, I've got two pieces of cord here. So I'll just tie off a reef knot real quick. And now these two pieces of cord are bound together, right? So now I have essentially doubled my cordage length with that one knot. And from there I can do whatever I need to with either end. So like I said, it's really your imagination. Get out there, practice these knots, commit them to memory, and play with them. I will honestly sit around, now that I've gotten so heavy into it, and just play with knots, play with these ropes. I usually have a piece of cord on me. I'm kind of ADHD, I'm sure you've noticed in our podcast. My brain kind of wanders. And so it really helps to give me something to do with my hands. And I'm also giving myself a skill, a useful skill that, could potentially save my life later on. So I love knots. I hope you guys love knots. I hope that you get some enjoyment out of this, and I hope that you guys really enjoy these interim weekly videos that we're putting out. Give us some feedback. Let me know in the comments. Did you learn anything useful? If you already know some knotsmanship, tell me some of your favorite knots, or some knots maybe you've heard of, and I'll demo those in a future video. I'm always good to learn. I love learning about knots and new knots, so any information you have that you would like to share, we're a club, so drop those in the comments below. And be checking our Instagram. I'm finally actually getting the Instagram up and running. Pictures are going to be on there. on how we actually do these videos, and so it's going to be awesome. I'm super excited to expand this, and I'm super excited to have you guys with me. You know, this is kind of our club, and it's just awesome to me to kind of grow with you guys. So with that said, this has been Knots. I've been TJ, and I can't wait to see you guys next time.